Hey guys, and welcome back into the studio again. So today we're going to be looking at a plugin that's been getting a lot of buzz in the internet, God Particle. So let's check it out. Alright guys, so here it is. Here is the God Particle. Okay, so to my understanding of this plugin, it is a mixture of an EQ, a limiter, and a mastering reference. So the middle portion, to my understanding, is kind of like an accentuator, an exciter, maximizer kind of deal. As you guys can see from the graph, it's adding a different curve to the frequency spectrum here. Mostly the mids. It's mostly affecting the mids for the most part. And then as you bring it down, it completely flattens it out. And then I noticed that there's like a little bit of a dip between 200 hertz and 500 hertz, which is weird. I don't know what that's all about. So let's bring it back up to here, and then this is kind of like an EQ. It adds in some more frequency content there, and then the mids, of course, is going to bump up that mid-range, and then the lows will bring it right to with the mids. And I mean, an input's an input, you know, input, output. You get the picture with those. And then as you can see with the high, mid, and lows, there's like a target right there. You see that target on the God Particle here. You see what, I don't know what's happening in the middle here. It's taking like a bunch of those particles and just like mashing them up and like creating its own texture. And then the targets with the high, mids, and lows right there, that's where you want to score your mix, your channels, your buses into. And according to God Particle and its creators, that is a nominal level of frequency content within whatever you're pushing this into. I really like the interface. It's pretty easy. You can navigate yourself around it with little to no knowledge of how a plugin works. So if we start to kind of like mess around with things, once we start to like max this out, it starts getting a little weird. Now, every engineer knows you never push a plugin to its limits. The only reason you would want to do that is to really see its effect on your mix and to see how much processing is being used within the plugin. It also looks like you can scale it up, which is nice. They got some presets in here, and then they have a sidechain enabler and disabler over here as well. So let's see if I can get to the default. Let's go to harmonic analysis here. So right now we're looking at this. So looking at the frequency spectrum here of God Particle, it looks like there's not that much aliasing happening right now. Once we start to push it, once we start to add some frequency content in here, once we get some of that in there, some of that. It changes a little bit. It looks like it adds some pretty nice harmonics into whatever you're throwing at it. Let's look at it in Hammerstein. This is probably going to blow you away. So as you can see, it's adding a lot of different frequencies into Plugin Doctor here. We got a lot of dB going on, and then there's also a pretty good amount of frequency content. And this character is pretty uniform. We start to lessen the amount of frequency content. It's a pretty stable diagram as far as what it's adding to within the plugin here. Okay, so I want to check out the performance level here. So I normally don't look at performance, but since this plugin has been getting a lot of buzz and a lot of attention, I wanted to see what kind of performance levels it's reading and pushing out. So this is, according to Plugin Doctor, a good thing. This means that this plugin is really reaching out to the signal and really trying to affect it in its own creative way. So if there was any flat lines within the performance graph here, that's where you might want to start questioning things. That's where it's like, okay, this isn't really doing so well with the buffer size, and this isn't really handling high buffer routes. So overall, this plugin is doing a pretty good job handling processing, and it's able to affect your mix in a positive way. The God Particle is definitely adding a lot of content into your mix. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and check this out in a mix and see what the difference is between the M limiter and the God Particle. Alright guys, so I'm going to do the M limiter X first, and then I'm going to do the God Particle, and then we're going to try and see what the difference is between the two. Alright guys, there you have it. So I can tell a difference between God Particle and just adding like a simple EQ and limiter to your mix. So if I listened really carefully, it seems like the top end is really speaking out to you. It sounds like it got more crispier. It sounds like it got more warmer, and you can really hear those strings push out when inserting God Particle. And when I did the limiter and the EQ, everything just seemed dull. Everything just seemed bland and static and boxy. So I think God Particle has something hidden in its room. If you really can listen in and fine tune and really hone in on what is happening to your mix, there is some noticeable differences between the two. I'm trying to decide if I would really go out and buy this plugin. I'm trying to think, because the plugin Unchirp, that plugin is so cool. The amount of high frequency content that it inserts into a tracker mix or what have you is insane. I just get blown away every single time I use that plugin. And I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of on both sides with God Particle. I don't know if I really would buy this plugin. I feel like it has its usages, and when pushing it to its limits, it sounds like it's a natural limiter compared to some limiting where it just starts sounding way too fat, or it just starts to become static and it starts pumping, and you just don't want that. You really want a limiter that can get your back when finalizing a mix, and I feel like God Particle can perform that. I would give this plugin a 3.8 or 4.0. There's still some unknowns with this plugin. There's still some tests I'd like to run through it to see if it really equalizes to combining different plugins. But overall, I feel like it's a great plugin. You can resize it. It's easy to use. There's plugins out there that come with PDF files longer than a bill being passed through Congress. It's insane. I haven't checked out the PDF. I hear there's a PDF out there, and it gives a good explanation of what it does for your mix and how it can affect certain aspects of it. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty easy, but as soon as you get more into the advanced parts of it, it starts getting really complex and somewhat confusing, and you just don't really know what some of the functions do as far as affecting the signal. So yeah, guys, I mean, check out the plugin. I think it's a good plugin. I think it adds a different sauce to the plethora amount of plugins you guys have out there. Check out the channel, leave a comment down below, tell me what you think about the plugin. Go to Cavio.net and subscribe to the channel. Go to my Facebook page and like that page. And if you need anything from the industry, you need any knowledge, you need some consultations on some stuff, I'm here for you guys. Otherwise, that's it, guys. Stay safe out there. It's crazy, y'all. Stay safe.